everyone, welcome to the Rio Moon Oracle, or welcome back. My name is Rio, and today we are continuing our Tarot Discovery series, following the Major Arcana currently with the Fool through their journey. So we're working on card number 1 today, which is the Magician card. So like last time, I pulled 4 cards from a couple of my different tarot decks, and we'll go over the symbology that is similar and different from the original Rider Waite imagery, and we'll start with some key words for the Magician. So I got my notebook here again, the learning the tarot 1 card at a time. I'll have that posted down below. So keywords for the Magician are going to be magic, of course, power that comes with that magic, discipline, responsibility, focused will. I like that one a lot. We'll see it later. Shaman, mystery, action, empowerment. There's an element of all the elements there. So all 4 elements. We've also got like science and decisiveness, spark or fire, focus just in and of itself, and intelligence. The Fool card with being the first card, number 1. It also has that power of 1 and new beginnings, new starts, creation, leadership, opportunity, and potential. So let's go over the original Rider Waite imagery. In the original Rider Waite imagery, we have a man, masculine figure, standing with 1 hand up in the air and the other pointing towards the earth. I'll have an image of this posted as well so y'all can see. We have a table that has the 4 elements, or the 4 different suits in the Arcana. So you see the cup, you see the pentacle, you see the sword, and the wand on the original Rider Waite. And then as you see in from the different cards I'll show you in the different imagery in the different decks and different tarots, that imagery changes a little bit, but it's pretty consistent in that case. We see an infinity symbol over their heads. There is a snake around their waist, biting its own tail, kind of as a belt. You see a lot of flowers and like foliage in front of them. What else? They're in a cloak, like a white kind of gown with a red cloak on them, so there's some color imagery there for sure. So definitely a very strong figure, a figure that is in their power, that is feeling very strong, has all the things at their disposal, all the elements at their disposal in order to use and have power with. So in the Fool's journey, as it meets the Magician is the active side. The with activity, you come kind of like that positive side, but not in terms of like positive, negative, or bad versus good. It's just like positive action, movement, and that's that masculine energy of creation and conscious awareness and willpower and focus, right? You'll see that countered as we get further into this, into the Arcana, by the High Priestess, that has the more subconscious and things you don't quite realize. So this is, that more positive, that's like active power, that active movement, that active energy going forward, right? So first card, we'll go into the couple other ones I pulled for you. So you'll see some of the same cards that we had last time. I did pull a different one from there to kind of shuffle through the cards because they're just all different imagery and have different interpretations. So one of the ones we did have last time is from the Light Seers Tarot. So we have that one again here. This is the Magician in the Light Seers Tarot. So I'll have the picture up for you all as well. The Magician, in this one, we see that infinity symbol again on their hood. We see that interaction with the nature around them. So in the original Rider Waite imagery, we have them pointing up towards the heavens and then pointing down towards the ground as well. We see this with the Light Seers Tarot as well, because you see them actively manipulating and moving energy with the one hand, but the other is touching the ground, kind of like this. So it's like actively like interacting with the ground, which I think is interesting. For this, we have the not tree of life, what's the flower of life on their arm in that tattoo, which is representative from the Fool energy. We saw that in the water / like the air. And what we also see, so in terms of the elements, we don't see the physical like the wands, the cup, pentacle. We see the alchemy symbols here in the streams of magic that the magician is manipulating. So the alchemy symbols, we'll see them right here. We have the 4 different ones that represent our earth, air, water, fire, etc., right? And so we can see them in the little triangles that the magician is manipulating as well. And to the bigger vortex, the bigger energy that the magician is working with. And that is Magician in the Light Seers Tarot. Lots of color in this card, which I think is interesting. Lots of focus. You see the magician looking down and working with the energy that they are manipulating. So lots of focus there, which I think is cool. Lots of pretty colors. I like the purple in that center, that kind of center energy, right? Looks very similar to the energy that the full from the previous card was about to jump into. So that is the Light Seers Tarot. Next card I'll pull. So we got the Magician slash, it's going to be called the Shaman in this deck. And this is going to be, this is from the Wildwood Tarot. Different energy in this card. The Wildwood Tarot has more like Celtic symbology and Celtic influences. So the Shaman in this one, as he is so named, we see the 4 elements there on the rock that he has. So we see a cup. We see what looks like a knife, or it could be the sword in this case. The thing that's on fire is probably going to be our wand. I know, it's harder to tell in this one. So I see 4 things, but I don't know which 4 represents what 4, right? Because we've got the skeleton head here, this little bit, and I don't know if that maybe represents the pentacles or not. But we definitely see our shaman here actively working with energy again. So there is, that shaman is holding a staff, and looks like he is like conjuring something, right? Actively working with energy. We don't see like an infinity symbol like we do in some of the other cards, but we do see that like kind of maze spiral, which has that same imagery, I think, that same representativeness of infinite possibilities and continuousness, right? If the spiral just keeps going and going, more like that hypnotic type spiral. It's got a robe on as well, with some pictograms on it. Surrounded by nature. He looks like he's kind of in like an alcove, like under a big tree. This shaman slash magician, he seems very, he's like that wise old kind of like hermit guy in the forest, right? He seems kind of angry a little bit. He's seen some things, but he's also strong and seems to know what he's doing, right? So that's the Wildwood Tarot, the Shaman in the Wildwood Tarot. Okay, next one I've pulled is also from the Santa Muerte. I like this deck a lot. You'll see it coming up. I'll probably take a break from it, but once I get into the Emperor and Empress, those are cool cards. But this one here, we see our skeleton magician. He has some of the elements around him as well, and we see a cup. One kind of like a vase or something hanging over his head that looks like it's hanging. We see a cup on the table. Excuse me. We see a cup on the table there. Fire all in the sombrero hat. There is a knife hanging down. Maybe 2. He's holding that staff again. And this magician seems to be actively working with energy through that like crystal ball. So we see his hands, right? His hand in the card, like, whoop, right there. His hand seems to be working with energy and like that active power there. So that's cool. We got the word will down on the table there, spelled out. And the palm that has a lot of different astrological symbols in it. So that's the Magician in the Santa Muerte deck. Last card I pulled is the Magician from the Halloween Tarot. Love this one. So in terms of symbology, so we see our 4 elements, right? So in the Halloween tarot, the ghosts represent the cups, the pumpkins represent the pentacles, the bat represents the swords, and the imp around his feet right there represents the wands. We see that snake imagery come back in, right? So the snake that's wrapped around the waist of the magician in the Rider Waite tarot. We see it in the pumpkin there, biting its own tail. That's also an infinity symbol, the continuousness of life, represented by a snake eating its own tail. The magician is performing active magic by pulling the rabbit out of the hat, which I think is cool. He has the same kind of positioning hand-wise that the Rider Waite magician has, with one finger pointing down towards the earth and the other working active magic by pulling the rabbit out of the hat. So I think that's cool as well. And then our out-of-place little black cat that just shows up everywhere in the Halloween tarot. But just paying attention and seeing the activeness, that magic, that power that the magician is displaying, which is cool. So common elements, common themes that we've seen across the different tarot decks. We see the work with those 4 elements, right? So they are represented in different ways across the different decks, but we see that active power of using those 4 elements and having that power at your disposal for earth, water, fire, and air. So that is, to me, is a representation of connection to all magic, being able to work with that magic. There's a lot of connection to nature as well. We see that a lot with the Shaman in the Wildwood tarot, but we do see it with the original Rider Waite imagery for like all the flowers and the vines in front of the magician. The magician in the Light Seers tarot is sitting on the ground and looks like they're in front of the water right there, so actively out in nature as well. Less so with the magician in the Halloween tarot, but there's a little bit of nature element here and there as well, as we see different flowers up and around the magician. Common elements again, so that was like that green energy for being out in nature, but we also see that infinity symbol, right? We see it over the head in the original imagery, but we see it in different ways in the tarot, other tarot decks as well. So with the magician in the Halloween tarot, I'd say it's that snake biting its own tail. We see the infinity symbol just on the hood of the lights in the Light Series tarot magician. I think in the Wildwood tarot, that infinity again is represented by that spiral tattoo on the shaman's arm. So those are definitely common, important elements I think that I've seen across multiple tarot decks for the magician card, showing that active power, that continuous power that one can have with magician energy. So other meanings I've seen for this card, or that I associate with this card, so lots of higher knowledge. The energy in the magician is definitely a masculine energy, again an active energy. There is use of the hands to control and flow and move energy. We see that from all the different magicians. So the use of hands to conduct power, and sometimes with tools in addition, right? But the tools has to go into one's hand in order to be used for the most part. But the use of hands to conduct energy. So I've had Reiki done on me. I do Jinshin, so the use of laying on hands is a very common thing across many religions and cultures in order to help heal and connect and work power, right? When I think of the magician, I think of Doctor Strange from the Marvel Universe. He, to me, is a good example of the active power, that learning, that masculine energy. He's a good example, too, as I get further in, for the reversals and some of that negative aspect that can come from the magician. But to me, he, especially as he learns his abilities and powers and gets to be the Doctor Strange we know later on in the universe, he very much represents the magician to me. energy that comes from the magician card, manifestation, creation. I wrote it just separate right here on the bottom is alchemy. So that active transformation, I think, is important in the magician. Okay, so reversals. Again, you can read reversals one of two ways in my experience. You can read reversals as too much of the energy, too much magician energy, or a lack of the magician energy. So when it shows up as in reverse, you can read it one of those two ways. Okay, so in the side of too much magician energy, too much of that, I think we get into trickery and manipulation, arrogance, deceit. They are using their energy badly or in the wrong way. So we get into that manipulation, and that's again with talking about Doctor Strange from the Marvel universe when he's learning it, trying to learn this power for his own personal gain, right? And as he gets further in and learns more and gets better, then he's using the power that he has been taught in a positive way. So on the reverse, other side for a reversal for not enough magician energy or lacking magician energy, we don't have logic, we don't have power, we don't have the ability or strength to do things we don't want to. We are maybe manifesting things in a bad way for ourselves. You know what you want to do but haven't taken the steps yet. Putting the power, the energy, the effort into what you're aiming to do, or you maybe are doing what you want to do or have put in the effort to do what you're trying to do, but it's not turning out maybe quite the way you want to, so you have to reevaluate. So with the magician showing up reverse, you can also see maybe you're not living up to that full potential, using all the energy at your disposal, all the resources you have in terms of the 4 elements, right? But it can be various things where you're not using the items and abilities and resources you have in order to manifest, in order to grow, in order to have this active ability and power in your life. I think those are all representative of the magician in reverse. Okay, that is all I have for you guys today. I'm trying to add some magician energy into my own life and get that active power and energy and manifestation movement going. So it was good to talk about the magician today and remind myself of that as well. So that's all I have for everyone. Leave any comments down in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe if you liked this video, and I will see everyone for another video. Bye. Have a good day.